My guest today is attorney Rob Solomon. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tom. Glad to be here.
Hey, Rob, you're a lawyer with our firm, and you've been on before the radio, so you've got quite a bit of experience here. And today we're going to be focusing on landlord tenant law.
Good.
Hey, you know, one thing that I've always known about landlord tenant law is that it is written in Florida statute, Chapter 83, Part 2. We're talking about residential landlord tenant law. And whereas some statutes are not clear, or they're vague, or they leave a lot of questions unanswered, Florida statute 83, Part 2, landlord tenant law is, man, it lays it out every possibility almost. Would you agree with me?
I would. I think there is, it overlaps contract law. So what the two parties say in their contracts is an issue, but it helps clarify a huge amount of landlord-tenant issues. And there are some places where it makes us scratch our heads a little bit, but mostly you'd be right about that.
Well, I'd like to say congratulate whoever wrote that statute because they did quite a nice job. And not only does it clarify and define the landlord-tenant relationship and answer a lot of questions regarding the landlord-tenant relationship, but it also has many forms within it, so it seems to be almost consumer-friendly.
Well, I think that was the idea. Of course, the courts have complicated the matter somewhat. What seemed to be very simple forms, which was set out by the legislature to be simple, the courts, of course, have added layers of court-decided cases to help make that somewhat more complex.
So the consumer might look at this form and say, hey, here's the right form for the right situation. I'm going to fill it out, and yet something may be filled out wrong and things go wrong from there.
Well, really the classic example of that, Tom, is the 3-day notice, which is a necessary prerequisite to bringing forth an eviction action. It's written for the landlord right in the statute. Somebody nicely did that, but the courts have added probably 20 to 30 mandatory requirements to that you wouldn't know just looking at the statute. So the legislature gave it its best shot, but there's more to the story.
So let's wind up the Florida Statute 83 Part 2 by saying this to the people who are listening, and that is this, is that if you are a landlord or you are a tenant, you need to pull out Florida Statute 83 Part 2 and read it. You need to know the law regarding landlord-tenant relationships. Otherwise, it's going to be used against you, I would say.
I would say that's true. And certain areas of it, like 8349, which is the security deposit law, are just beautifully laid out in terms of answering questions that, there's probably 50 questions that get answered if you were just to sit down over the dinner table, so to speak, and read.